which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures He chose us to be high. To Him we belong, to Him is our return. Life in this world is only a sojourn. To the angels He commanded that man be respected. Shaitan he did not, and so was he rejected. Compared to the angels, we are but clay. As long as Allah we obey, we'll not go astray.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome to a new live episode of our program, Islamic Law Today. We are honored to have you with us here today on this live program. And we are always, as always, alhamdulillah, honored to have our dear professor with us, Professor Muhammad Naeem Saie. Professor Saie, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Professor Saie is a professor of Islamic law at a number of Islamic universities, and he's also a permanent member of the Fatwa Committee of AMJA, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America. Before we begin, I'd like to remind all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, that this is a live program and would love to have your phone calls throughout the program, inshallah, asking your questions and giving us your comments about the topics that we are discussing. You can give us a call at any time, inshallah, during the program at 002-0238 555-248 or 249. You can also send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Islamic Law Today, or you can send us an email at islamiclawtoday@huda.tv. Last week we started talking about the issue of hijrah, and it was the beginning of the new Islamic year. Today we want to continue about some of the important issues and some of the important fiqhi issues relating to hijrah, and then inshallah in the next segment we'll move into a new topic that we'll be discussing with our dear professor, Professor Saie. Professor Saie, a couple of more important issues that you'd like to address about hijrah from an Islamic perspective.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك سبحانك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك اللهم إنا نحمدك حمدا يوافي نعمك ويدفع نقمك ويكافئ مزيدك اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك وبمعافاتك من عقوبتك وبك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك اللهم فرج الكرب عنا وعن المكروبين ونفس الهم عنا وعن المهمومين اللهم أطلق سراح المسجونين وفك أسر المأسورين اللهم إنا نسألك أن ترفع البلاء عن أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم ارفع مقتك وغضبك عنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين لا تعذبنا ولا تحاسبنا بما فعل السفهاء منا لا تحاسبنا ولا تعذبنا بذنوبنا ولا بسيئات أعمالنا ألطف بنا وبالمسلمين فيما جرت به المقادير ودبر لنا ولهم فإنا لا نحسن التدبير اللهم برحمتك نستغيث لا تكلنا والمسلمين إلى غيرك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين اللهم آمين وعليك اللهم بالظالمين المستبدين والطغاة المجرمين اللهم أنزل فيهم بأسك ورنا فيهم بطشك وآياتك يا رب العالمين اللهم انتقم لنا انتقامك لأنبيائك ورسلك وأوليائك إنك أنت الجبار العزيز القوي المتين آمين اللهم آمين. Amma ba'd, the most important maybe issue about the hijrah to understand what is the philosophy of having these rules in Islam, to move from certain place into another one. When the Prophet ﷺ moved from Makkah al-Mukarramah to al-Madinah Munawwara, and we call this event al-Hijrah, the migration from Makkah to al-Madinah, it wasn't, as we know, for the sake of this life, for the sake of making business or having more of this materialistic, maybe joy in our life. It was for the big purpose and the big goal, which is to save this deen and to have it in a safe haven so the Muslims are able to establish their own maybe society, their own state, so they will be able later on to move into another maybe place to deliver the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As if that Muslim has this assignment in every minute in his life. He has to put it in his mind. he has to move in this life according to this mission and according to this assignment. Whatever his color is, whatever his language is, whatever his position is, he has to move all the time according to this mission and this assignment and this message, delivering the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether he is in his home or maybe he is forced to leave his original home to some other place, maybe to go maybe in the opposite direction from east to the west or maybe west to the east, the only purpose he should be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we say from Islamic law point of view, any person who does not feel safe about himself, about his deen, to practice what Allah has commanded him to practice in this life, he is ordered to move to another place which he is able to practice his deen safely and peacefully. And even if that place was originally his home, was originally a Muslim country, let's suppose Muslim, he lives in any Muslim country, regardless, Arabic countries or non-Arab countries, it's a Muslim country. But that person individually, or maybe this family as a whole, or maybe this group as a whole, or maybe some other people, they are not able to practice their Islam. They are afraid of practicing their Islam completely, to be like tortured, to be jailed, to be imprisoned. In that case, they have to look for some other place to practice their deen and to save their Islam. That's what happened for the Sahaba. They were in Makkah al-Mukarramah in the first Hijrah to Al-Habasha, Ethiopia, right now. And they did that to save their deen and to feel that they are able to practice Islam safely and peacefully. That's what happened with the Sahaba. They moved from Makkah al-Mukarramah. This is their own home. The Prophet, born in Makkah al-Mukarramah. He moved from Mecca to Al-Madinah. Many people, they moved to Al-Madinah where they don't have maybe such an idea about that a new place. They don't have maybe relatives sometimes, some of them. And what we say from Islamic law point of view, in this modern time, if anyone felt for any reason that he is not able to practice Islam safely and peacefully, he has to look for some other place. Sometimes he moved from east, where his maybe original Muslim country or Arab country, to the west, go to Britain, France, maybe go to the South America, Brazil or Argentina, to have some other place he's able to practice his deen. But suppose a Muslim, he born in America, he born in Britain, he born in France, and he is individually, not because of the generally speaking about the atmosphere in America or Britain, he himself as an individual, he is not able to practice his deen for any reasons. And he feels that it's safer for him to move to like Tunisia, or maybe to go to Britain, or maybe go from Britain to France, or from France maybe to some other maybe Muslim countries, whatever. Whatever he feels that it is safer for his deen, it's better for his Islam to be, and he is able to do that. In that case, from Islamic law, it will be a must. It is some kind of very high status of lawful status for him, that he has to move from that place to other place where he is able to practice his deen. Now, that the same case when someone lives in America, he did not born in America, he came to America as an immigrant for business, for study, for maybe medical treatment, and he felt good to stay there, and he felt safe for his deen to be there, and suddenly he felt that he is not safe anymore for his deen, maybe for his children. He started to feel worried about his maybe kids. He didn't have maybe ability to put his kids in an Islamic school, or doesn't have ability to go into some other maybe Islamic environment or little society, little town in America. But he found other place, maybe in Saudi Arabia, maybe in Dubai, regardless of Dubai, maybe some other places, is maybe better for him to be. In that case, he has to move from that place to other place if he is able to do that. But suppose now that the other important issue here, suppose that he felt some kind of risk for his children to be in a Britain or France, but he's not able to move because of financial maybe reason. In that case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not ask him about this because he's not able. But he has to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be helped, ask Allah for His mercy subhanahu wa ta'ala to be able to manage his situation when he's trying his best to move from place to another place. We have to say in the same time, America is not one place. Britain is not one place. Not all places are same. Some other places in America, they are maybe safer than some other places.
They're more conservative.
Yes, and I witnessed that.
Yes.
I can say that some maybe towns in America is safer for the children than some other maybe place in Muslim countries. And one sister one time asked me a question about her family, that they were being offered a job for his husband to go to some Arab countries and to a specific city. And she asked me, is it now Islamically must to go to this place? I told her no. You stay where you are is much better than you go to that place, because I know the two places where she lives and where she is aiming to go. So we have to measure the whole issue from that standard, from that measurement. Which is better, safer to your deen, you stay. Unless there's some other things. Maybe it's not safe for you as an individual, as a human being. It's not safe for your health, your wealth. It's a different issue. But the whole issue about immigration here or migration has to be related to the importance of saving and keeping and protecting your Islam and your deen.
Yeah, and I think that's what the hadith of إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ refers to. It's talking specifically about this issue, making sure your intentions are when you're making hijrah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for your deen, for the protection of your deen.
Subhanallah. Yeah. Subhanallah. I did write a little book about this hadith just and make the second section of that book about the hijrah, the migration, and some other Islamic law rules about this. So inshallah ta'ala we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this issue to be more applicable for the Muslim's life, understand what is the real meaning of hijrah. And as we said in the other episode before this one, that every Muslim has to have a certain migration in his life. Does not necessarily mean that he has to move from place to another place. He has to migrate by his spirit, by his heart, by his mind, by his body, by everything from the environment. Leaves him without any kind of maybe commitment to his deen, to other maybe area, other area in his life, while he is still staying in the same town, to change, as if that he is moving, not geographically himself, but maybe spiritually and mentally, and even from Islamic law point of view, that he is changing the whole plan of his life. He decided to migrate, to move. And we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make all of us able to make this migration. And this is what he referred to, alayhi salam, al-hijratu an tahjura ma harram Allahu aw ma naha Allahu anhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That migration, real one, this is like some other meaning of the migration, to leave, move from the field of disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the field of obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we can just finish this by saying a long time ago, in his time, the hijrah was started to be must upon every Muslim who declared his Islam to move from any place he lives in to Al-Madinah, specifically, to join Al-Mustafa alayhi salam, to join the Sahaba, to be in one city, to be in one place, to enhance their concentrating on their deen, to enhance their ability to establish the first state in Islam. So they are strengthening each other. They are bringing power and energy to this very fresh society. And after the Prophet ﷺ was able by the mercy of Allah to conquer Makkah al-Mukarramah, he said, لا هجرة بعد الفتح. There's no specific hijrah to Al-Madinah after we conquered Makkah al-Mukarramah, ولكن جهاد ونية. Wherever you are, you can make this hijrah, inshallah ta'ala, by your intention, by your action, inshallah ta'ala.
Barakallah feek. Let's take a short break, inshallah, and then when we come back, we'll go ahead and start into the new topic that we're talking about. My dear brothers and sisters, stay with us, and we'll be right back with Bismillah.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Learn Arabic.
As everyone knows, today Arabic is considered as very important, very significant language. How can we produce the sound, the state of voicing, place of articulation, the manner of articulation? So in Arabic, the words which are written are pronounced.
We will learn how to write and pronounce Arabic letters correctly in depth. Explanation via board and presentation with many other important factors.
We have today more than 300 million people speak Arabic language. Not only in the Middle East, but you can find a lot of people speak Arabic language in Asia, Europe, North America, and in South America.
What are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and pencil and stay tuned for Learn Arabic at Huda TV.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome back to our program Islamic Law Today. We'd like you to join us on our program, inshallah, by giving us a call on our phone lines at 002-0238-555-248 or 249, inshallah, or you can send us a message on Facebook at facebook.com/Islamic Law Today. Today we are continuing on the topic that we said relating to Islamic law. As we said, we are tackling issues in depth. And today we want to talk about a unique topic. Maybe a topic that is being talked about for the very first time. The topic of the prophetic behavior versus habitual behavior. What actions of the Prophet ﷺ are relating to him as a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what actions of the Prophet ﷺ go back to him being a human being, having him being influenced by his culture and his environment. And today we are continuing to talk with our dear Professor Muhammad Naim Saie about this issue. Professor Saie?
Ahsanallahu alayk. Well, this is very important issue, and it's very important rule to be understood, to be memorized, and to have it as a very comprehensive principle in our understanding to the nature of his actions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to understand more and more about the definition of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as I told you before we start this segment, maybe could be this the first time to talk about this issue from this maybe Islamic law angle maybe,
yes.
And to put this rule as something to revive Islam, to revive this deen, to renew our Islam, to understand exactly how to follow the Prophet ﷺ, and how to distinguish between something related to him as a Prophet ﷺ and something related to him as a human being. And this is very important because it's been a long time ago when Muslim scholars, Muslim jurists, they put this definition of the Sunnah. As you know, when they talk about the Sunnah, they say Sunnah is anything related to him by his actions and his sayings and his confirmation. If he says something or he does something, alayhi salam, or he confirms something, this should be Sunnah from the Prophet we should follow that. And surely they say about the different status of the sunnah should be sometimes a must, you have to follow. Sometimes it's like preferable to follow. But generally speaking, they talk about his actions, his sayings, alayhi salatu wassalam.
Yes, yeah.
Sayings mean whatever he says after his prayer, before he starts his fast, or when he finishes his fasting, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, or maybe when he makes a talbiyah. This like sayings. Whatever he says, whatever he acts, alayhi salatu wassalam, and whatever he does confirm should be sunnah. But to my knowledge, it did not came in this clarity from Muslim scholars and jurists to define exactly what is the distinction between some actions and sayings maybe, or maybe doings, relate to him, alayhi salam, as a prophet. So we are ordered, we are commanded to follow him, alayhi salam, gladly, as a followers of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as Allah says subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Encourage us to follow him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to be our role model, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to be our example, to follow him, to listen to him, and to try to imitate him, the way he dresses, the way he sleeps, the way he eats, the way he drinks. He enters his home, he left his home, entered the masjid, alayhi salatu, the way he make his marriage, or sometimes make the divorce, everything. So sunnah is a big field, a huge field, to follow the Prophet ﷺ within that field, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But sometimes some Muslims, because of the lack of understanding, sometimes shortage of knowledge, they mix between what was related to him as human beings. As a person lives in Arab Peninsula, person lives within the Quraysh tribe, a person lives in Mecca al-Mukarramah or in Medina Munawwara, or relate to him as a human being, he has different maybe taste to the food, different maybe desire to some kind maybe of fruit, or maybe some kind of drink, lawful drinks, we say. So we have to put this rule, to make this definition and to make this distinction. So not someone to come later on in this modern time, stick to a certain action, certain maybe doing to relate to the Prophet ﷺ, and claim that this is sunnah we have to follow, without distinction between what he was doing ﷺ, as Arab person, he's Arabian, or he's from Quraysh sallallahu alayhi wasallam, or maybe as he's himself, as Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he likes this kind of food, he likes this kind of drink, he likes this part maybe of goat, or this part maybe of sheep when he was eating sallallahu alayhi wasallam, or maybe he likes this kind of dessert sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So in that case we have to put this definition in order to be able to follow him, to not miss any sunnah of him. This is the first purpose. So we're able now to point out whatever relate to him is a sunnah, so we are able to follow him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are not missing any sunnah of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At the same time, we are not mixing between the sunnah and some other things. So in that case, we are not putting some maybe burden or maybe pressure on people when you are telling them you have to follow the Prophet in this specific issue, which he did not mean to order us, to command us to follow him in that specific issue.
How can we make that distinction?
MashaAllah. That's what we are going to say, inshallah ta'ala, and to make it clear, inshallah, by saying this. We have, first of all, to understand, this is very understandable to everyone, that the moment we live, or the time we live, maybe the environment we live, does have an effect and influence on us. Like if you live in America, if you're born in America as a little child and you grow up, you're going to grow up with a certain food you like, with a certain dessert you like. If you're born in Egypt, in Cairo, maybe if you're born maybe in Munufiyah, in some part of Egypt, or maybe Alexandria, you have different maybe kind of favorite food to you. You say that this is my favorite. This dessert is my favorite, or that maybe a dish is your favorite because you live in Alexandria, or maybe you live in Cairo. So environment, town, society, time does have influence on us. The way we like to eat certain food, certain dessert, sometimes certain way of dressing, how to dress, how to cover ourselves, how to go from place to another place. All these have an influence, an impact on us. The Prophet was not an unusual person. He was a usual person, alayhi salam. He lives in Arab Peninsula. He lives in Mecca al-Mukarramah. Even some attitude in Mecca is different than attitude in Medina Munawwara. Some maybe attitude of the women, as he mentioned one time, alayhi salam, or Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, Sayyida Aisha, Allah rada anha, the attitude of maybe the woman of Medina is not the same like the attitude of women of Mecca al-Mukarramah. So they have influence, all this environment, culture, the time, the place. So the Prophet ﷺ was a usual person. He likes what most likely his people likes. He desires from the food most likely what the people desires in the same area he lives. He grew up, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, when it comes to the issue of like dress, what kind of dress he used to wear, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The same thing. His cultural influence was there on the Arab Peninsula, on Makkah al-Mukarramah, in Al-Jazeera, in the Arab Peninsula, as we said, in Medina Munawwara, the way they cover their head, they call it the turban, imama, right? As a matter of fact, imama does not maybe stop in the Arab Peninsula. Some other maybe nation, they have turban. So they used to cover their head in a certain way, they call it imama. Covering the head on that time, maybe 1400 years ago, was not only for Arabs. Most of the nation at that time, they used to cover their head, but they have different way of covering their head. Because at that time, covering their head does have different purposes. Sometimes covering a head, even in Western countries, maybe in a Roman Empire at that time, Persian Empire at that time, or Persian people, Indian people, they cover their head. And the purpose of covering their head sometimes does come from the point of respect. Like to call that person, he's a very noble person, he covered his head. Sometimes to appreciate and respect someone, he would like just to shake his hand, or maybe has a meeting with him. The first moment he takes off his maybe hat, or maybe his turban, or anything he put in his head. So these are like cultural things. Islam was not like unusual in this. Islam does recognize what people, what nations, they used to within their own environment, their own cultures. Islam does not come to abandon all these actions or these doings or these cultural things, because Islam has come to accommodate, not to, they call it, differentiate between someone and another person because of his culture, or to eliminate people from being accepted Islam because of their own culture. Because that person likes a hot food, he cannot be Muslim. That person, he likes the sweet food, he cannot be Muslim. No, this is something that does not have anything to do with Islam. Because this lady is covering what Allah has ordered her to do, but in different way in India. Not all women, they cover their body the same way the people in Sham they cover. Not the same way that they cover in Morocco. Not the same way they cover in Egypt. Egypt itself, they have the different way of covering for Muslim ladies. So Islam has come with this very wise vision to accept, to accommodate all the nations, all cultures, all environmental maybe influence to be within one pot. If you talk in America about the American pot, the melting pot, right? Islam was wider than this, wiser than this, wider and wiser, because Islam has come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to say this Islamic pot is able to accept and accommodate every single culture, every single maybe habitual maybe things, and environmental maybe influence on you, as long as does not affect on the general criteria of you as a Muslim, general principles and values of this Islam. Just an example.
I think there's a very fine line that we have to watch for not to cross, because the same arguments that you're saying, some people are actually using them against hijab. against following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. For example, they say that women back in the day, they used to wear hijab out of respect. And all women used to do that. Therefore, today we have a different culture, and a woman can be respected and can show respect even without covering her head, although she wears good clothing elsewhere, but not her head, for example.
Good. That's why we said we have to put this rule. How distinguish between something related to culture, environmental, and what does make this environmental culture moves from being cultural, environmental, to be like part of our Islam, part of the Islamic rule, part of our Islamic commandment, by putting this rule. And put it this way.
Yes.
Any kind of cultural things, environmental things, habitual things, does come to us plain, pure, does not have any kind of further address from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, address from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, any kind of directing to this culture to be followed, to be practiced, to be preferable to Allah or Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or not to be must. In that case, we leave it as it is. But if any culture things, any environmental things, any habitual things has come along with an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or commandment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or from His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to encourage people to do such cultural things, or to encourage people to act in somehow, or to dress something, or to behave somehow within the criteria of following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and following Rasulullah sallallahu, these things will be turned from being cultural, environmental, habitual, to be part of the Islamic legislation and Islamic law, Islamic sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just to bring some examples.
Can we also, before the examples, can we say also the opposite? That if something is cultural, but there's an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and an order from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say that that thing is not allowed, or if it's not encouraged, that also changes from being cultural to an Islamic ruling?
Exactly. That what we said before this point, that as long as these cultural things, you remember this point? As long as these cultural things or habitual environment does not go against, or as long as it's within the frame of the Islamic principles and values. But this will bring some examples, inshallah. Now, all of us, we like to eat. We like to drink, halal drink, right? What about like put some honey in a milk and mix it together, or maybe mix some dates with some milk? Beautiful, very sweet and very delicious. Can we say that it's preferable, it's sunnah to drink it this way because you like that? No, I like it. Maybe you don't like it.
Yes.
Now, when we come from the Prophet ﷺ to come to his actions, his doings, his habits, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, suppose that he used to like being referred to him, alayhi wasallam, being narrated that he likes to eat like cucumber with date together. He likes to mix between cucumber and date.
Is that an example, or is that something actually from the Sunnah?
This is what he likes, alayhi salam.
Oh, okay.
كان يأكل قثاء بالرطب عليه الصلاة والسلام. He likes to make it together because this one is very warm, this is very, very cool. Even from health point of view, is very healthy. Can we say it's sunnah to eat cucumber and date? By itself, you cannot say it's sunnah. Because he likes that, ﷺ, as a human being, his personality, his own desire. Like he likes to eat that part of the goat, the arm, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You don't like the arm, you like some other part maybe. We cannot say it's sunnah to eat the arm of the goat, or to encourage your kids to always go to the arm. Just suppose that this is the case. We are saying it's sunnah to eat the arm of the goat. That means nobody is going to eat the rest of the part of the goat or the sheep. All of us will go to the arm. But it's like,
so that's part of the habitual behavior of the Prophet.
Yeah, he likes that, alayhi. But we put in that rule, if he was eating something or drinking something, alayhi, without ordering us, without advising us, without encouraging us, alayhi, it does stay as it is. It is like they call it personal desire, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But suppose he was ordering us, he's encouraging us, like as we said, cultural things, environmental things, to have a beard, to shave your mustache, right? Well, this is something happens in his Arab Peninsula, in his town, in his society. Some other countries, nations, they do the opposite. They shave the beard and they leave the mustache,
Yes.
right? We can say that it's like environmental, it's like cultural, it is personal. But no, we stop here because we have found that the Prophet was ordering, was encouraging, was very insisting on this issue, that you have to leave your beard, you have to have a beard as a man, and you shave or cut your mustache. It turns to be from being cultural, environmental, or maybe personal, to be sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when you say sunnah, does carry two status: to be like must, you have to do it, or to be like just preferable to do it. But generally speaking, that this is under now the sunnah status. It is not cultural anymore. It is not environmental anymore. Like dress for the woman. And when we see that Arab ladies at that time, before the hijab was legislated, they used to go out showing their chest, their arms, their maybe legs. There's no limit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded Muslim ladies at that time to cover. So now this dress turned from being cultural to be like Islamic, to be part of our Islamic law. So everyone has to follow this order, because it's not just to be like cultural or environmental. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put it in a way, on a field of to be part of our Islamic legislations. That means Muslim lady has to follow this order, has to follow this commandment. They have to cover their body as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders subhanahu wa ta'ala.
We'll take a short break, inshallah, and when we come right back, we'll continue talking about this very interesting topic, the habitual behavior of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam versus him being a prophet, the prophetic behavior of a Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Stay with us, inshallah.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Ask Hoda.
Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda.
I have two questions.
Please go ahead. You can read it in Arabic, and you can also understand the meaning in your own language. The different tafsir and the interpretation of the meanings of the Quran are available in almost every language that exists on earth by the grace of Allah. The water of Zamzam is for whatever intention you drink it with. Salih from Egypt, his father has the way, and he asked about how can he help him. Very good question.
Can they give a zakat to any of the dawah centers?
The ibadah, or the act of worship, is a part of the unity of worship. It has to be paid to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in accordance with the guidance of His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
In this program, inshallah, we'll be discussing the major sins in Islam, the way that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had taught us. Why the neighbor does not care about their neighbor anymore? Why does the father does not care about the son anymore? Why does the mother does not care about her daughter anymore? There's major sins that we need to be very far away in our lives, so we could get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obtain the pleasure of Allah azza wa jalla. As long as we commit those major sins, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not be too pleased from us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish those who commit those major sins. Keep away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had forbidden, and you'll be the closest worshipper to Allah azza wa jalla. It is our duty for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep away from what Allah azza wa jalla had forbidden. As when we commit those sins, especially those major sins, remember you are displeasing your Lord, and you are bringing upon the curse and the anger of your Lord upon you.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome back. We'd love for you to join us on our program, inshallah, by giving us a call at 002-0238-555-248 or 249, inshallah. Or you can send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Islamic Law Today. Professor Saie, before the break we were talking about the issue of the prophetic behavior versus the habitual behavior. How we can distinguish between the actions that the Prophet ﷺ took or the sayings that he did, him being a prophet and him being a regular human being. And we said that some things are not necessarily sunnah on the beloved Prophet ﷺ if they are part of his habits, part of his culture, part of the way he dressed, or part of the environment that he lived in. But I have to ask you, they say that if you love someone, then you try to follow them in every action, in every minute matter. We claim to be lovers of the Prophet ﷺ. Shouldn't we be following him in everything, even if it was something that's cultural or something that's habitual?
MashaAllah. Very good question. That's why we put in that rule in this book, beside the general rule, that it is very wide range of following him sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a field or in a circle does not relate to the sunnah, does relate to his own culture, his own personal behavior, his own maybe desire alayhi salam, out of love, out of being part of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam as much as you can. It is lawful, it is okay, it is a wide range of possibility and a big room of expressing your love toward him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if we said like he likes this kind of food alayhi salam because himself he likes it, he doesn't like other food, even it's lawful because it does not come to his own maybe list of the food he likes sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As you know that he never said I don't like. Whatever he likes, he eats. Whatever he doesn't like, he doesn't eat. He doesn't maybe criticize certain kind of food because he doesn't like it. So that improved at this point that sometimes he likes something, he doesn't like something, but he does not express his dislikeness just to keep the respect of other maybe desire from the Sahaba or some other maybe people around sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Or so maybe he won't be misunderstood as if the Prophet ﷺ dislikes something, then it automatically becomes haram.
So that we said alayhi salam. So in that case, suppose that he likes this kind of food, it is not sunnah to eat it. But someone would like to follow him in this regard. Because he said, I love him. Like to eat whatever he eats, I would like to eat. Whatever he drinks, I would like to drink. It is big room to express your feelings toward him, alayhi salam, to say, I love him. That way I would like to follow him in this regard, even does not go to under the status of sunnah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that's what the Sahaba they were doing in their life. They were expressing their high level of love, of following the Prophet ﷺ, even sometimes they don't understand what they were doing. Do
you think someone would get good deeds for that, even though it's not sunnah, it's not fard, obviously, and it's not
by this
sunnah?
Intention.
If they have the correct intention.
By this intention that if he says, oh Allah, you know that I'm just eating this because I love my Prophet. Oh Allah, give me the ajr because of this. Inshallah Allah will reward him. But we cannot tell others that you have to do that or it's sunnah to do that unless you put it in that status. The status or criteria of loving the Prophet ﷺ. Now why this definition is very important? Because you are in the field of expressing the mercy of this Islam to make it more applicable to everyone. Not just on his time, ﷺ. In any time will come later on. And so that's what happened. Look at Muslims right now. How many nations we have? Under one nation of Islam, but they are different nations originally from their cultures, their environment. Indian people, it's not like Bangladesh people, Bengali people they call it. It's not like Moroccan, it's not like Syrian, it's not like Egyptian. They have different kind of food, they have different kind of drink, they like it. But all of this within the
realm of Islam.
Subhanallah. The siege or maybe the defense of this beautiful garden of Islamic law. They don't drink something haram that forbid. They don't eat something haram that forbid. But they're different desire, different culture. The Indian food is not like Pakistani food, it's not like Moroccan food, not like Shami food. But all these food are halal, lawful. So they put themselves within this criteria that we are able to eat anything we like because as our culture, as long as it does not go against Islamic rules. We can dress anything, women or men, as long as it does not go against Islamic rules. So Muslim ladies in India, they cover, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered them to cover. Hijab, they have the hijab. But the hijab, the Indian hijab is not like Shami hijab. The maybe Moroccan hijab is not like maybe Tunisian hijab. But all of these are hijab, as long as fit in the same criteria of the Islamic law hijab to cover the whole body, does not smell, is not tight, and does not express or show the shape of the body. Certain criteria in the Islamic law about the hijab. So all these Muslim ladies from all around the world, they are complying with the Islamic rules regarding the hijab, but they have it in different way to match their own culture. So this is very Islamic, this is very, very beautiful to show how much Allah is so merciful, subhanahu wa ta'ala, how Islam is able to accommodate certain people, certain cultures, certain nations, even after his time, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to the day of judgment, because this is Islam, not just only for the time of the Prophet, but Islam for forever, inshallah.
So we can say in summary of this point that the reason we have this qaida, this Islamic ruling, is to show the mercy of Islam, so that we can be able to accommodate as many people from around the world as possible.
Just a small example, my son Osama, you remember that people in Saudi Arabia, in Arab Peninsula, till this moment, have different way of dressing, right? Their dress is different. They call it galabiya or taupe, right? And they put something on their head. And the way they cover their head in Emirat, not the same way they put it in Oman.
Yes.
Not the same way in Yemen. Not the same way in Kuwait. Not the same way in Saudi Arabia. All of them, they are covering their head somehow. So we talk about covering the head. We go back to the rules. On his time, alayhi salam, to apply this issue on his time in this rule, is it sunnah to cover your head? We know that most likely he was covering his head, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Do we have a certain very authentic hadith to cover your head during your prayer? To command you to do that? We don't have such a strong hadith about that. But we know that he was covering, alayhi salam, most of his time, his head, by turban, by qulunswa. Qulunswa like taqiyya, they call it in this time. By different means. So covering the head is something good. But how to cover your head? You don't tell me now that covering your head by the way of the Omani people is sunnah, or Saudi people is sunnah, or Shami people is sunnah. Look at people in India or Pakistan, how they cover their head. When they pray, they cover their head in different way.
Yes.
So all of them, they are covering, and especially when they go to prayer, because they have the sense that it's much better to cover your head while you are praying out of respect of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in different way. So you cannot now, part of this rule, you cannot name an innovated way of covering sunnah, but you say covering is sunnah, but certain way it is not sunnah, so you choose from your own culture.
Barakallahu feek. Jazakallah khairan. As always, we're running out of time, and we did actually run out of time. It's such an interesting topic, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for being with us today. And inshallah, we'll continue next week, bi'idhnillah. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you have benefited greatly from this episode, and I hope to see you again next week, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures He chose us to be high. To Him we belong, to Him is our return. Life in this world is only a sojourn. To the angels He commanded that man be respected. Shaitan he did not, and so was he rejected. Compared to the angels, we are but clay. As long as Allah we obey, we'll not go astray.